Hey, what's going on, guys? Just got done watching My Adventures of Superman. This is episode 2 of season 1. So, in the very beginning of this episode, we actually get to see where Clark Kent is from. He is from a ship, of course, and we finally get to see his parents. So, it's a older couple, and Clark was brought out there for them to show him, hey, this is where you're actually born. He steps on the ship, and of course, it plays like this message, and this message has like this Superman looking guy, except he has white hair and a beard, and it frightens him, and the ship starts to open up. His mom falls over in, and he has to save his mom. After that, he takes the shovel that they use to actually dig it out to put all the soil back over. And then we go back to the present. So, in this actual episode, there's really three parts of what happens. The first one is Lois wants to go ahead and follow through with the Superman story. She's still trying to sneak around and get the Superman story finished. And a part of that is to go and look for the boat. Well, that's what Jimmy does through some conning. And then we have the actual Clark Kent. He actually wants to go back and check out his past. He tries to figure out, hey, now is the time. Third part is we have our villain here, the same one that stole the robots. We finally get a name. It is Leslie. And I didn't know this till I searched up. So her name is Leslie Willis. She's the female villain in this, and her actual name as a villain is Livewire. So I guess that'll become more important later on. Hopefully that isn't a spoil, but right now she's just called Leslie. The Livewire part isn't really too much important, I would say. But what happens is of course Jimmy has the idea to go to this boatyard to look for the boat where she ran off on, and eventually they go through a tunnel. Meanwhile, we go back to Clark, and he goes back to his parents' house, and he's ready to face it. His mom brings him out there, and she's like, I just hope whatever happens, it doesn't change you, before he actually goes into the ship. And that's where he goes down there, and of course, he can't understand a word they're saying. They're talking in Kryptonian, and Kryptonian is far from what he knows currently. So, what happens is the man who's actually pretty positive is his father plays a message through some type of telekinesis. He basically puts his hands on him, and boom, the message plays. It basically says, "Hey, this is what happened to your planet." I forgot to mention earlier, we couldn't understand what he was saying, but he said Kryptonian before it stopped playing, and the whole thing where his mom fell, and then the trauma, and then we get to hear. It's not really important, but all we know is that his planet got blown up, and that's how we got down there. So his dad and mom both said, "Hey, let's send him off," and he got to Earth. Um, so this is where we get to the Leslie part, where it all comes into importance. Leslie basically is talking to this FBI agent, and they're trying to work out a deal, while our two friends are underground. Of course, Lewis is in a place where there's some explosives. So you have Lewis and Jimmy underneath there. They finally come up, and this is where, like, oh, I thought you were alone. Of course, Livewire, aka Leslie, kept bringing up about the caped freak working for the little agent guy, or whatever's going on. We'll get to that. And you already know what happens. Eventually, the FBI dude starts to fight her after she sees Lewis and Jimmy come out of the sewer that they just got out of. And yeah, the whole thing was oh, I'm gonna blow up the entire, I guess, sewer line or whatever of the city. And Superman then, after going through all that, he finally gets his suit. So this is really the origin of his suit, is what I'm gonna go at. That's kind of why he had to go back and face it. Yeah, we get his like true origin of where he came from, but we also get, hey, you're now the Superman. So Clark is there finally, and they're fighting. Of course, Leslie has her electricity. That's what she's fighting with. It seems like she has some type of like tech gear, and it's like I don't know exactly how it works, but she uses lightning. Clark gets shocked a lot. Eventually, Leslie's electricity gets out of control. The FBI agent, all he was using like some type of nightsticks. I guess you could say he's just like a crappy Nightwing. No name for him. So finally, Superman saves everyone and takes out Leslie, but saves her life. He has some type of like PTSD of like ships getting blown up, and he stops Leslie from dying because she was gonna try and take him out with all this electricity got built up, and she falls, and Superman fixes up the city, and that's where she vanishes. We don't know what happened to her. We don't know what happened to FBI agent dude, and Lewis and Superman. They kind of have a talk, and I don't understand how she doesn't know this is Superman. Same thing with Jimmy, but I guess it's a gimmick, and they really know maybe. Well, we have to see, guys. This is still at the very beginning, and Lewis is still very much in love with Kent. One of the things in this episode was like, "Oh, I don't have his number, and I'm worried about him." That's the other thing, but love is a big part of the Superman series. I guess after all that, what happens is that Leslie is brought to like this prison cell, and the weird FBI agent dude is like shocking her to try and get out information. But now this information turns out to be about who's that caped guy, who is Superman. And yeah, we go back to Kent, and afterwards he's switched back to normal. Lewis finally has his number and tries to go meet up with him. She comes to his house, and where they were supposed to be kissing, the whole joke is that Jimmy always buds between, as of right now, and they don't kiss. Oh, I did forget to talk about the big important part. They do get their story in the paper. Lewis does get that picture because whenever they were talking earlier, she did get a picture of him. And what happens is that Jimmy is in between both of them and shows them the paper, and she looks down, and they were not credited. Lewis was not credited. No one was credited. And now I don't know what's gonna happen. We gotta see. Besides the weird FBI dude, there was like three other people or two other people. Don't want to remember too much, but I don't know if they're important just yet. We shall see. Was this a good episode? I think it was an episode. I kind of got like some type of goosebumps whenever Superman was having like the PTSD flashbacks and stuff. I thought it was pretty sick. This episode, I don't know, this series is something that I'll watch every once in a while. Every time I do, I'm like, dang, why didn't I watch this when it first aired? I still stand by it. 8 out of 10. It's just as good as what an anime would be to me. I think it does the job. It continues and it builds a bit. Now, I'm sure eventually we're going to get to where it's just not going to continue as well. And it's just going to be like set in stone type of stuff. But right now we have a plot line they're kind of following. Now we have some cards set up for new people looking for the Superman. And yeah, tell me how you guys feel about these style of videos where I kind of just tell you the three main plot lines. We get to the finish. I know sometimes it goes a little longer than it should. But yeah, of course, I recommend watching this series. It has been phenomenal so far. I'm still collecting the issues of the comic. Whenever we get that completed, I have no excuse. I want to just move on. We read that, do a review of that, and tie it into the second season, which will be very fun. Anyway, guys, hope you stay safe, and as always, peace.